Today we are going to discuss about the lecture of the camera shots and movement. First of all, we will start from the introduction that what is a camera. Camera in photography device for recording an image of an object on a light sensitive surface. It is essentially a light tight box with an aperture to admit light focus onto a sensitized film or a plate. Basically, a camera is an optical instrument that captures a visual image. At their most basic, cameras are sealed boxes with a small hole that allows light into capture an image on a light sensitive surface. Cameras have various mechanisms to control how the light falls onto the light sensitive surface. Lenses focuses the light entering the camera and the size of the aperture can be widened and narrowed to let more or less light into the camera. And the shutter mechanism determines the amount of time the photosensitive surface is exposed to the light. So the word cameras come from camera obscura, which means dark chamber and is the Latin name of the original device for projecting an image of external reality into a flat surface. The modern photographic camera evolved from the camera obscura. The functioning of the camera is very similar to the functioning of the human eye. The first permanent photograph was made in 1825 by Joseph Nicephore Nippy. Now start with the next slide, that is close-up. Close-up shot basically is a type of camera shot size in film and television that adds emotion to a scene. It suggests intimacy and emotional closeness. It tightly frames an actor's face, making their reaction the main focus in the frame. The director of photography filmed a close-up with a long lens at a close range. In the close-up, we also called a macro photography, is a form of close-up photography originally developed for scientific research. True macro photography is when you photograph a subject. In other words, the subject appeared closer to life size in the photograph. Basically, what kind of purpose of extreme close-up? That is, the extreme close-up shot is generally used to allow the viewer to enter the character's personal space, revealing traits and emotions that might otherwise go unnoticed. The frame is so tight that using an extreme close-up shot gives the viewer no choice but to extreme the character's feeling alongside them. In this, close-ups are normally used in dramatic scenes, and it connotes that the audience is next to the character. In the next slide, there are three main types of close-ups, that is extreme close-up, and medium close-up. So first is extreme close-up. In the extreme close-up, where we can indulge properly a more intense version of the close-up, usually showing only the subject's eyes or another part of their face. Insert shot a close-up that focuses on a specific object. Prop, detail, signaling to the audience that its importance. Basically, a close-up. Our next is the close-up. So a close-up or close-up in filmmaking, television production, still photography, and the comic strip medium is a type of shot that tightly frames a person or subject. Close-ups are one of the standard shots used regularly with medium and long shots. We can use in this, that is cinematic techniques. Cinematic technique is one of the very professional photography. Nowadays, it runs very fast. Close-up fills the screen with part of the subject, such as a person's head, face. Similarly, extreme close-up emphasizes a small area or detail of the subject, such as the eyes or a mouth. Next, we have a medium close-up shot. In the medium close-up shots, include a character from the shoulders, chest area up to the top of the head. This shot is tighter than a medium, but slightly wider than a close-up. As with all shots that use the human body for reference, the cutoffs between them are too slightly defined. If I'm talking about in the film, what kind of medium close-up? So frames a subject's head and cuts off around mid-chest. The focus is on the subject, reveals only a little of the surroundings, shows the facial expression of the subject, and commonly used for interviews in documentaries and news programs. Medium close-up shot is also called a medium kite shot. For a person, a medium shot typically frames them about waist up. This is one of the most common shots seen in films, as it focuses on a character in a scene while still showing some environment. Frame this tightly, the emotions and the reactions of a character dominate the screen. In the next slide, we have a mid shot. Mid shot basically defines a medium shot, medium long shot. So firstly, we will discuss a mid shot. Medium shot, also called a mid shot or a waist shot, is a type of camera shoot in film and television that shows an actor approximately from the waist up. A medium shot is used to emphasize both the actor and their surroundings by giving them an equal presence on screen. You can see the character in some detail. It is useful for when a character is giving information but not for expressing an emotions. Similarly, a mid shot is an approximation to how you would normally see someone while talking to them. You are not too close or too far. In this, it is captured at a medium distance from the subject. It is used for dialect screen, but also depict body language and more of the setting. What kind of purpose why we are using the medium long shot? So that people appear as indistinct shapes. An extreme long shot is a view from an even greater distance in which people appear as small dots in the landscape, if at all. A venture unlikely to succeed, an entry given little chance of winning, and the chance of winning are slight, but the possible winnings great. This connotes that environment they are is in and important as the characters themselves. Just like close-ups, there are extreme versions of the long shot, that is extreme long shots. Now we have a two shot. Two shot basically is a type of shot in which the frame encompasses two people at a time. The subject don't have to be next to each other. And there are many common two shots which have one subject in the foreground and the other subject in the background. In a two shot west, one character will turn 180 degree away from the other character while the other character looks at them. In classic movies, long takes were often used in which the several types of shots were used without cutting. For instance, if two people are talking facing the camera in a medium shot and the foreground character turns their back to the camera, the shot turns into an over the shoulder called OTS, that is over the shoulder. In this, the characters could be facing each other or be side by side. The camera can't be too far away, otherwise it will become a long shot. Now next we have OTS. OTS is over the shoulder shot. The over the shoulder shot is a camera angle used in film and television where the camera is placed above the back of the shoulder and head of a subject. This shot is most commonly used to present conversational back and forth between two subjects. With the camera placed behind one character, the shoot then frames the sequence from the perspective of their character. Basically, it gives us a character's point of view, but that includes part of that character's shoulder or the side of the head in the shot. Similarly, usually talking to another character, this allows you to see things from the subject's point of view without going into a POV shot, that is point of view shot. This could also be called a third person perspective. In the next slide, we have two kinds of angles, that is high angle and low angle. In the high angle is a cinematic technique where the camera looks down on the subject from a high angle and the point of focus often gets swallowed up. In film, they can make the screen more dramatic. If there is a person at high elevation who is talking to someone below, so this is shot is often used. A high angle shot looks down at the subject from a higher perspective and can convey information or elicit an emotional response from the audience. It is also one of many camera angles that filmmakers can use to contribute to the story they are telling in a film. Basically, a cinematography technique where the camera points down on the subject from above. High angle shots are used to make the subject or object seem vulnerable, powerless, or weak. In this, cannot the character is vulnerable and isolated or a powerful. And a high angle shot makes the audience feel as if they are touring above a character. Similarly, a low angle basically in a cinematography, a low angle shot is a shot from a camera angle positioned low on the vertical axis. Similarly, firstly we will talking about the aerial shot and the high level shot, and now we are talking about the low level, that is a down level angle. Anywhere below the eye line looking up. Sometimes it is even directly below the subject's feet. Psychologically, the effect of the low angle shot is that it makes the subject look strong and powerful. A low angle pointing up below the subject's and cannot assess a low have actors' heads are one of the level. So a eye level camera angle doesn't require the view to see the eyes of the actor, nor does the actor need to look directly into the camera for a shot to be considered eye level. Eye level shot simulates standard human vision and thus presents the visual information through a familiar viewpoint. A level that is high as a person's eyes. He hung the picture at eye level. The hook is just above eye level. Next, we have a point of view shot. Point of view shot, basically that kind of shot where we can a sequence that is shot as if the viewer were looking through the eyes of a specific character. The shot is a common trick of the horror film. This is, we are placed in the position of the killer who is slowly sneaking up on a victim. Point of view is a sequence that is shot as if the viewer were looking through the eyes of a specific character. The shot is a common trick of the horror. And this is the most often established with the shot of a character looking at something, followed by a shoot showing the character's reaction. Point of view stands for POV. This is where the audience sees events from the character's perspective. This could also be called the first person's perspective, as I'm talking to you first. In the next slide, we have a establishing shot. Establishing shot basically might be a long shot of a room that shows all the characters from a particular screen. For example, a screen about a murder in a college lecture hall might begin with a shot that shows the entire room, including the lecturing professor and the students taking notes. Technically speaking, an establishing shot is usually a wide shot. An extreme long shot or an aerial shot that shows a load of the setting or context. Establishing shots are unlike other shots in a movie for a few different reasons. Establishing shots are usually only a few seconds long. This kind of shot is an exterior location that takes place inside of the it. It usually doesn't last any longer than a few seconds. Establishing shots are well used conventions in soap operas and TV dramas. Basically, it is a shot in filmmaking or television that sets up the context for the screen ahead, designed to inform the audience where the action will be taking place. It shows the relationship between people and object and establishes the screen geography. In the next, we have a master shot. Master shot basically that kind of shot is a film recording of an entire dramatized screen. Start to finish from a camera angle that keeps all the player in a view. You also can all shots the pictures here with the help of examples. Historically, the master shot was the most important shot of any given screen. All the shot. Purpose of a master moving shot. Video. Narrative changing, actions, string. We also can use the master string method in the master shot. That is one of the most fundamentals and common ways of shooting a scene. So aerial shot in movie can be done with a plane, crane, drone, helicopter, but their use varies because every person can't operate these all kind of techniques. So the most standard aerial shot example is an establishing shot, which tells us where we are going. Aerial cinematography is a filmmaking technique that uses aircraft like helicopter, planes, drones to capture and elevated perspectives. Traditionally, aerial cinematography has been used to shoot striking establishing shots and dramatic action chases, a favorite of the James Bond franchises. With the help of example, we will talking that what does an aerial shot do? Well, for the most, these shots helps the film's director and cinematographer establish or mark the area that the character inhabits. Most aerial shots are so powerful that they tend to make their way to the movie's posters. These kinds of aerial shots nowadays are shooting in the pre-wedding shoots also. Next, we can test here. So you can see the picture here. This kind of close-up we can click by their cameras because this is the proper close-up shot. Next, this is a medium shot where just in the chest. This is a long shot where we can click the picture from top to bottom and from head to feet. This is the establishing shot. We can also told and also called it a wide shot or a wide angle shot. You can see you can talk the both. Next, we have a high angle shot or a high level angle, which we can click the photo from the high level. This is a low angle where we can click the pictures from the feet sides. This is a master shot, and we can also call it a group photo. This is an extreme close-up shot. Basically, extreme close-up shot click for that kind of purpose. Where we can see their emotions, their problems. To reveal and lead the audience. So understanding what each put a certain way, it can also alter the narrative of the story you are trying to tell and the delivery of the content you are presenting. Basically, camera movements in a filmmaking technique that causes a change in frame or perspective through the movements of the camera. Camera movements allows cinematographers and directors to shift the audience's view without cutting. It also involves moving the camera upwards or downwards in relation to a subject. It's different from tilting in that the entire camera ascends or decays rather than just the angle of the camera. Next, first, a camera movement that is a tilting. We can tilt up, we can tilt down. You can see the diagram here. Vertical movement of the camera angle is called the tilting. Pointing the camera up and down as opposed to moving the whole camera up and down. Why? Like panning to flow a subject or to show the top and bottom of a stationary object. With a tilt, you can also show how tall something is. Tilting is also a cinematographic technique in which the camera stays in a fixed position but rotates up and down in a vertical plane. Tilting the camera results in a motion similar to someone raising or lowering their head to look up or down can be used simultaneously. Tilting the camera basically down from the perspective of one character to another visually indicates superiority from the higher angle point of view. It's a great tool to show power versus vulnerability in the film. Tilt shots can hide an audience's suspense as they are not sure what the shot will reveal. It could create a high or low angle shot and camera tilt moves from vertical up and down. Now, next is the panning. Panning camera movement is that kind of movement where the camera pivots left or right. You can also see the diagram here on a horizontal axis, while its base remain in a fixed location. A camera pan expands the audience's point of view where by swelling on a fixed point, taking in a wider view as it turns. Movement is to turn or pan the camera horizontally so that it sweeps around the scene. It can also be titled up and down in a vertical panning shot or in a diagonal pan as when it flows an actor up a stairway. It can reveal the parts of the scenery not seen previously. A camera pan is a horizontal movement left or right, and it can flow a character walking in a particular direction or move away from a character standing still. Panning is often used to flow action such as a character moving from one spot to another. Panning shot can also be used to establish location, slowly revealing information about the place as we take it in. Next, we have a zoom and reverse zoom. In a zoom, the camera lens is used to move closer or to farther from the subject, like zoom in, zoom out. Zooming in or zooming out, a zoom allows you to show context and then push into a show details. A reverse zoom, also called a zoom out, moves the shot from a closer up to a mid or long shot, showing that the surroundings are becoming more a focus in the story. A zoom is when the camera stays fixed in position but zooms in on an object, location, or character. Zooming is probably the most commonly used camera movements, as it lets you easily move in closer to the subject without actually physical moving, but be careful with these as zooming glances the quality of your image. If you are going to use zoom, try to keep the movement as smooth as possible. Basically, camera movements is that kind of technique flowing the action adds a scene of forward momentum and allows the viewer to particular in the action. Rewatch your favorite movie and analyze it to see how camera motions adds impact to key scenes. Basically, zooming from a mid shot to a close up could mean that the scene is changing to a more emotional tone or to reveal a character's reaction. In the next, we have a tracking shot. A camera can track a subject moving towards, away from, moving left, or moving right. A tracking shot is any shot where the camera flows backward, forward, or moves alongside the subject being recorded. In cinematography, the term refers to a shot in which the camera is mounted on a camera dolly. That is, then placed on rails like a railroad track. Make sure you can understand the difference between the track shot and a pan or a tilt. Because if the camera was a person, it would be a walking in a direction, not just moving ahead. A tracking shot is one in which the camera moves alongside with its recording. Tracking shots are sometimes called the dolly shot, but they can be differentiated by the direction they take. Tracking shot will be generally flow along the horizontal axis as the subject moves. The camera is mounted on a dolly, a cart on a track, which then pushed or pulled. Tracking shot can curve and change direction. The camera is just always moving in a smooth motion. So thank you so much. I hope you're clear about the all kind of concept of the camera shots and the movement. Thank you so much.